Good afternoon, and today's going to be King Queens. Doing this a little bit later, but still working through our poker hand. So I've got King Queen, 10-0 game on the button, folds me, open raise, 2 big blinds. Big range here, you're going to see it. And then we get this guy calls. This guy's playing 19-13. Looks like he is playing about 25% of the hands. He's called to 2 bets 28% of the time. 3-bet. So 3-bet versus a steal. So 3-bet versus button open looks like 1 out of 15 times. We do have some hands on here. So if we look at just called 2 bets from the blind, looks like we've got our pocket pairs. Looks like we have suited broadways, suited connectors, suited one gappers. There's a 4-2 here for the one gapper. So I think if you've got 4-2, you've got 3-5, etc. We've got some other stuff here. You could see like a 10-6, Jack 7. Kind of what I think is he might be playing hands that kind of give him a straight draw. So I've got Jack 7, 10-6, 9-5. Maybe it's in there, maybe it's not. But I put together this range. What I noticed is that he did not have offsuits. Didn't have like ace-x offsuit. Didn't have offsuit connectors. So that's good. Now he is a fairly tight player. I assume he's going to 3-bet aces and kings. We've got 3-bet versus steal here with aces and jacks. So what I did, because ranges, percentages were a little high, I kind of assumed he would always raise with aces and kings. I think he would about 50% raise with ace king, 50% raise with queens, 50% raise with jacks. Don't know if that's right or not, but we can leave those in just in case we think he's going to be a little bit tough. I do have him coded as yellow, so it's kind of a warning. Hey, be careful when this guy comes into a pot. So flop comes out 8-7-3. Really misses us big time. We don't really have any sort of draw. It's going to connect with villain somewhat with the middle hands. We could have a 7, we could have 8, and so forth, but we have a lot of hands we have to get rid of. We're basically looking at 57% of hands versus 29% of hands. So villain checks. Not surprised. He does have a donk. He has donked before, but I don't think this is a board where we're going to see a lot of donks. So he checks to me. Now it's my decision. What do I do? Do I bet? Do I check? I think this is probably a check with our hand. I think if we start to bet ace or king queen offsuit, then we're going to have way too many draws in our range. So I think just looking at what kind of hands we're going to be playing, if we bet with all overpair, if we say top pair plus, that's 32%. But actually no, it's not 32% because we didn't color code flush draw, so it's about 21% here. Flush draw, open enders, gut shots give us 17%. We would have to add 2-card backdoor flush draws. That gets us at 25%. Along with, we're going to have some of our pairs in that range. If we add overcards, we're going to start kind of boosting it up. I think this is a spot where we're going to probably have to withhold some of our bets, some of our good hands. So maybe some of these top pairs, possibly we're going to have to withhold. I think some of the over pairs are probably going to have to withhold. So maybe like aces and kings, we could possibly check here. Some of our top pair, maybe like, we're not really betting 8-2, 8-4 for value. I think we have some reason to bet ace 5, ace 6, 9-8, 10-8 because we end up blocking some of the straights. I think even jack 8. I think we could probably check with like ace 8, king 8 as well. That kind of reduces our value down to 13.7%. I think 2-pair we're probably going to be betting, and I think sets we're probably going to be going for value. with those. So with 13, we could easily go flush draw, open ender, gut shots, 2-card backdoor flush draws, basically all of them. And if we wanted to, we can kind of throw in pocket twos as a bluff. And that seems to be, I think, what a checking range could be. Or what a betting range could be. So 40%, meaning we're probably checking 60% against this hand. This board, we're going to probably miss quite a bit, so I think we're going to be susceptible to check raises if he thinks we're going to be c-betting too frequently. So I did check. Let's go ahead and can I get this in here? Get these on here. I add checks here, here, here. We will X that out, that. We want to X those out too. Oops. All right, got it all worked out. So that's our checking range. Villain has everything. Turn is the jack of diamonds. Villain checks. Now, once he checks, I think we can eliminate some hands here. I think maybe the straight is still in there. Maybe the set's still in there. Possibly even 2-pair. Although I think kind of a set and a 2-pair could be betting. So if we say 50% chance that the set and 2-pair would have just bet, and then the other 50% check, I think straight's probably going to go for a check raise. I think set's probably or could possibly go for a check raise. Same thing with 2-pair. Overpair, I kind of think is going to be betting here. I think top pair is probably going to be betting at this point. These undercards are probably going to check along with like the no-made hands. So I think we can eliminate some of the hands here, which is a good thing because once we check, now we have possibility of us betting. Now we can just go ahead and do 100% exploitation and just say we're going to fire out a bet. 4.5 represent that jack. And I think for the most part, if we do that, we're probably going to be picking up quite a few folds. I didn't do that, I just checked. So, if we said, well, once we checked, I think now we're betting our, let's do this. We're betting our top pair. We're betting our over pairs. I think we're going to be betting gut shots. If we do at least a 2-card gut shot, if we do a 1-card gut shot, we're going to have way too many draws in our hand. So we've got like 12% right there. We can go ahead and throw in a hand like, what would be decent hands? I'm hesitant to do the 7s because we have a pair. We do have some showdown value. Yeah, I think we would do those because we're protecting, kind of protecting our hand at that point. That gets us to 11%. Then maybe something just, 9-2, 9, something, something to kind of balance it out. So we'd be betting about 23% of the time. We didn't. So I think what we can do is just kind of X those out. X that gut shot, and let's go ahead and X these out and leave the rest in our checking range at this point. All right. So river's 4. Villain checks, and at this point, once he checks, I think we can eliminate straight sets 2-pair. I think he would be betting. I think pocket pair less than top card is all in this range. I think all of those are in there. I think if we bet now, I think we're probably going to get called by this by 10s and 9s and probably by the middle pair. I think weak pair and less than lower might be a fold. We do have some showdown value hand, and we're behind the aces. If we bet, we can probably get aces to fold, which benefits us, but we've got a lot of hands that we already beat. So I think once we go this far, it's possible that we just go ahead and check behind with our range. Of course, we're not really going to have a whole lot of strength. I mean, best we can look for is maybe middle pair. But I think by betting, we kind of open ourselves up to being bluffed by, a lot of these other hands. So I think checking with the middle pair would probably be fine in this point, or in this case. So we checked. Villain showed to ace 10. I wonder if we bet at some point, would we have gotten a fold? Maybe we would get it on the turn. I'm not sure if we bet on the river if we were going to get a fold. I think ace 10 might possibly call. So we can go ahead and take a note with this player. Kind of let him know kind of how it played out. So he called buttons, 2 big blind RFI, and big blind with ace of clubs, 10 of spades. He's out of position. Check, check, check on 8 of spades, 7 of spades, 3 of hearts, jack of diamonds, 4 of clubs. All right, so what I want to do is check GTO. Because we can assume that this player is an okay player. We've got 1,000 hands on him. He's lost 49. So I think generally speaking, he's probably a little too passive, and it probably calls a bit too much. So you can see that his c-bet stats 60% or so. Not terrible. I think when he calls the flop, so it's about 50% or so. Yeah, attempt to steal doesn't try to steal as much. Tighter player. So anyways, I set this up, went ahead and already ran it. So we checked, or he checked, so now it's on us, and it looks like GTO is having us bet about 49% of the time. We were at like 41% of the time, so we're not terribly, too far off. King, queen, you can see a check. I think we're okay with that. We're betting our sets. We're betting our 2 pair. We're withholding some of our checks, some of our aces and kings as checks. This is a small percentage of them. Our top pair, I think we're leaving, so we're betting like 8-6, ace-5 because we're blocking those, but like at the upper end, we're not betting. So I think what I'm off with the top pair is I'd probably be betting too much with my top pair when I should just be checking more, especially with the middle. So 9-8, 10-8, jack-8, queen-8. I think it's 8-6, 8-5 is pretty interesting of a bet. So 2-card backdoor flush draws. Looks like we're betting a lot of those because they're part of our straight draw. We also have our flush draws. So the middle pairs, we're betting like ace-7, king-7. I'm not sure if those would be value. Maybe they would be a little bit of value. Our weaker pairs, we're not betting all of them. But generally speaking, we're not betting, 60%, 70% of the time. Well, we're going to be checking, about half or so of our bet sizes. Looks like GTO is favoring the smaller size with some like half pot and some 2/3 pot. Now this could change if we set this at 33%. This could definitely change. But since we had that range, let's go ahead and just go through with our check. This was jack diamonds came on the turn. Now villain should be kind of firing out bets with quite a decent range. So straights, betting straights. Some of these, I think some of the 3 of a kind and 2 pair and over pair possibly being set up as a check raise. Yeah, you can see, if we're betting the straight, then 3 of a kind looks like we're getting check raised with 3 of a kind. 2 pairs though are mostly check call. We do have some check raises there. Over pairs are check raises. Some of our top pair are even going for a check raise. So, villain could check with some decent hands. He checks. What do we do now? Now we're betting only about 45% of the time. So I really dropped down to 75 for the check. And GTO saying we need to bet more. And we could see with our king queen, it's actually suggesting that we should be attacking a little bit more on the turn. Once it goes check check, we should be betting those. Of course, you can see our straights, 3 of a kind, 2 pair, over pair, top pair. We held some of these hands back on the flop, and that's going to allow us to bet those, which means if we're going to be betting a lot of those, we're going to have to be betting, balancing it with some of our bluffs, and we're not going to have a whole lot of flush draws or open enders, or even a massive number of gut shots. I mean, we do. These are our 1-card gut shots, so I think we're adding in some of these no-made hands, these hands that really just, look at the overcards, king queen, some ace queens. So I think we probably should have bet here. King diamond queen, queen of clubs is about 50-50. So sometimes bet, sometimes check, which means, again, some of our checks were okay. So let's say we checked again. Villain checks to us. Now, if we check king queen, we should be firing. So in thinking about the play, I think it's notable here. Weak pair. We have some showdown value with a weak pair and ace high, but we're betting all the worst hands. So in thinking about this hand and kind of seeing what GTO is recommending, I think we do miss being aggressive. I think we had an opportunity on the turn. I'm okay with the check, but once it goes check check on the turn and he checks me on the river, we should be firing. If he calls, he calls. So if we bet, it's going to probably be correct for him to call with some of his hands. And you're right, you can see with some of the ace-10, it is right for him to call. But it's also right for him to fold some of the ace-2s. Now, if he doesn't call with those, or if he always calls with the ace-x hands, then I bet GTO kind of changes a little bit, or the recommendation changes. We're probably not betting all of these no-made hands, all of these king x hands, because if we bet those, we're losing a higher proportion. There's more aces that are going to be calling. So yeah, I think I missed some stuff here. Missed some stuff with the bet. Probably bet could have been a little bit better to do it on the turn, maybe. Well, given his ace-10, I think we bet on the turn. He's probably calling, and then we would check behind and we'd still lose on the river. So what happens if we do bet? Let's change this. Let's go ahead and bet half pot, and let's say he does call. 4 comes out, he checks us. What do? We're still firing. Anything middle pair plus. We do have some no-made hands that we're betting, and we're really just kind of some of the junk. So some of our king x can be bet, but most of the time we bet on the turn and get called. We're just going to be checking behind. Really, we're going after some of these weak hands, and it's because our value range again. I can't really say that the middle pairs are value, massive value. We do have top pair plus, but in terms of our value to bluff range, we're not at 50-50. We're going much stronger at the value. Say 2 value hands for every 1 bluff hand. So even if I bet the turn, I think I would have been correct to check behind if he called me on the turn. All right, so hopefully you enjoy the hand. Look, tomorrow I plan to work through another one.